Hey everybody! Welcome to Beantown Beatdown. Matthew Burris.
Gabe Shamus.
Yep.
Back again, and it is almost pretty much officially summer now.
Yep, pretty much officially summer, so where are the beers?
Oh, over there. So yeah, let's crack open some big boys.
Yep, and of course, while Gabe is getting the beers, I want to say that the Gotti Ward episode peaked at 498, which is good.
Awesome.
And the newest episode of the Beer and Brawl show, the Best of Muay Thai Kickboxing Volume 3, is already up as of now, this recording, 431. So by the time this airs, this will probably be at 500. So thank you guys so much. Keep watching the show.
All right, cheers.
Yeah, definitely got a cheers. Cheers to that.
Nice. All right. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Whoop, some good cold cider on a hot summer day.
Yep. Not just any cider, green apple. All right, first let's get into boxing. Of course, June 9th, which is this Saturday night, WBA Featherweight Championship is on the line. Abner Mares versus Leo Santa Cruz 2. That fight will be on Showtimes for Premier Boxing Champions. And let me tell you something. I saw the first fight. It was awesome. And cannot wait to see that fight again this Saturday night. I mean, anytime you get two Mexicans in a fight, man, you know it's going to be fireworks.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. And also, on the undercard of that, we got another title fight. Austin Trout, who was the former WBA Super Welterweight Champion. He's taking on the WBC Super Welterweight Champion, Jermell Charlo. Of course, Trout lost to Jermell's brother Jamal for the IBF Middleweight Championship. And Austin Trout has been on a comeback trail as of late. Of course, hoping to erase the memories of his loss to Canelo Alvarez and to Jermell's brother.
Yep.
And, I gotta say, I love Jermell as well. He's a good fighter, but I'm gonna go with Austin in this one.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. And then, of course, the next day, June 10th, this is a Fox Sports 1 fight. Travis Kaufman will take on Scott Alexander. And, of course, we have Gerald Washington versus Wes Nuffire. And Michael Hunter versus Iago Kildaz. And those are three heavyweights. So we got a triple header heavyweight.
Really? All right. So always fascinating to see, isn't it?
Oh yeah, heavyweight fights, they're gonna end early. Yeah, they always end early. Yep.
Perfect.
And now to some kickboxing news. Glory 55 will take place in New York City at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah?
The theater at Madison Square Garden has now been called the Hulu Theater.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yep. And of course we have...
as all things change.
Yep. That's corporate America for you. Always changing the names of arenas.
Right.
And of course, the main event in that one, Robin Van Roosmalen defending his Glory Featherweight Kickboxing title against Picha Parang Kiyamoka. It's in Thai. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Well, that sounds like a heavy hitter of itself. Just the name.
It sure is. And also, speaking of kickboxing, Muay Thai. Yeah, the Best of Muay Thai Kickboxing Volume 4 airs tomorrow night, Friday night.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm saying this as we're pre-recording this.
Yeah.
On our Facebook page, Beantown Beatdown at Facebook.com, and got some good fights here. We got Bill Wallace versus Blinky Rodriguez, legendary fight. Also, Branko Sitriak versus Don Wilson. Don Wilson also takes on Art Jemerson, who is a boxer, and he was the one in the first UFC, the one who fought Hoist Gracie with one boxing glove on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And of course, we got
Michael Jacksoning it.
yeah. Yeah, well, of course, it wasn't clear on the rule. Well, it was very clear on the rules, no gloves, but he was allowed to wear one glove.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
And of course, we got 3 kickboxing fights featuring Butterbean. We got Senchai, who is one of the premier athletes of Muay Thai kickboxing. He's gonna have 2 bare knuckle Muay Thai fights on there. I got some more bare knuckle Muay Thai fights on there as well.
Nice.
You'll also see some highlights of highlight videos of Kathy Long, Mighty Mo, and Francisco Filio. And we got 2 Bob Sapp versus Ernesto Hoost fights from K1, and it goes Ramon Deckers, the late great Ramon Deckers, fighting Dwayne Ludwig.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
Yep, so tune in this Friday night, man. You know, this Friday night, tomorrow night. Tune into the fights, watch them, and let's get them up to 600 or 800.
Right, exactly.
Keep going to the thousands.
Exactly. Thank you all.
Yep. And of course, Bellator 200 came and went. We're now getting into MMA news.
Right. Yes.
And some great finishes. Michael Venom Page, his finish was most spectacular because it looked like he didn't lose a step there. You know, he just kept confusing David Rickles, had his hands down, was doing all this.
Oh, yeah.
At one point, he was actually doing, pretending he was jumping rope, you know, and...
No way.
Oh, yeah, you know, David Rickles, he just couldn't find the answer, and then in the second round, Venom Page hit him with a right hand, bam, and opened up a cut on his eye, and and Rickles just gave up and just said, you know what, I quit. Yeah.
Crazy, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's something that to us, looking at it, we're like, oh, come on. But it's true. It's crazy when I get sunscreen in my eye. So just imagine getting blood in your eye. You know what I mean?
Well, he just couldn't find the answer, and right there, that's gonna plague him until he wins a championship.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and of course, Gegard Mousasi is the new Bellator middleweight champion, defeating Rafael Carvalho in 1 round.
New middleweight champion of the world.
Yeah. Ground and pounded him, and then after the fight, he called out the current Bellator welterweight champion, Roy McDonald. So, we could see so Roy McDonald could move up to middleweight.
Wow.
Yeah, and if he wins, he'd be the first person in Bellator history to collect 2 titles at the same time.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know you could do that, but that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. And speaking of Bellator, Bellator will be back June 29th, Friday night, and that will take place at the Pechanga Resort and Casino in Temecula, California.
Okay.
Yep. Elima Leigh McFarland taking on Alejandra Lara for the Women's Flyweight World Championship. Also on the undercard in a catchweight fight, Saeed Awad taking on Ryan Couture, the son of Randy Couture.
Nice.
We
did say flyweight. Is that a new thing, or is that?
I think that's either welter. I forget which weight division Saeed and Ryan are in. Sorry.
No. Before you said flyweight.
Flyweight. That's below bantam.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yes. Also in the flyweight division, Valerie Letourneau, former UFC star, taking on Christina Williams, and also in the featherweight division, Juan Archuleta versus Robbie Peralta.
All right. Yep.
And
as you can see, Matt's in the process of updating his notes. He's going from paper and pen to the tablet over here.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, my tablet.
Whatever. Yeah. He's going into high tech.
Yeah. And also, a little bit of sad news in the world of MMA. As we all know, Michael Bisping has retired. Of course, retiring, after 2 losses, losing the fight to George St. Pierre, and then then coming back real quick when he should have taken some time off to fight Kevin Gastelum, got knocked down in the first round. Had some injury problems with one of his eyes. I think it was either the right eye or the left eye. And, he had to detach retina and stuff. He has to put oil in his eye.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So, of course, he had to retire, and it's sad because, 2 weeks ago, of course, as we all know, Vitor Belfort retired, and now Bisping's gone, and...
Right.
Well, Bisping still has a job with the UFC. He's doing commentary for UFC Tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome, but it's still kind of sad we won't see him in the octagon, and I remember first seeing him on season 3 of The Ultimate Fighter when I was in my junior year of high school. So it's
wow.
Yeah, it's the changing of the guard.
Yeah, exactly. As I was gonna say, this sounds kind of like a changing of the guard, or like a changing of of generations for it. Is that how you would say it?
Yeah.
Is that what it feels like?
Yeah, it does. It's because Michael Bisping, I've said that Michael Bisping, he was the David Beckham of mixed martial arts. He really is, because he really has put MMA on the map as far as England goes, and now there's a lot of UFC and Bellator shows in England and pretty much all around Europe, and Michael Bisping is we have him to thank for that. Yeah, like David Beckham, only without the good-looking hair and the Spice Girl at his side.
Right. And other good features we won't mention.
By the way, he's straight, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting, but I mean, it is kind of the natural order of things. Like you said, he kind of founded it. And we've talked before. Like eventually, those even those that founded it, even the OG, has to step down and let someone else, take up the reins. You know what I mean? It's kind of the natural order of things. Now it's a new generation, coming forward.
Yeah, exactly. But congratulations to Michael Bisping, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hope he has, well, he already is a good broadcaster on there, so, he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be just fine. And also, Ronda Rousey, Ronda Rousey Report, she will be taking on Nia Jax. Yes, that is The Rock's cousin. At WWE's Money in the Bank, which takes place June 17th, Sunday on pay-per-view for the WWE Raw's Women's Championship.
Close to my birthday.
Yeah. And like I said, we're not going to report everything that Ronda Rousey does. Here and there, because at the end of the day, we are a legitimate fight sports show, not a pro wrestling show. Pro wrestling is entertainment. Combat sports is real. But for Ronda Rousey in her first singles match, she's already getting a title shot. I mean, of course, let's see where the storyline goes. I'm not quick to judge it, quite yet. So. Yeah,
exactly. No, understood, and you probably shouldn't. But yeah, it's fascinating. I actually think that that it was I actually think that it was expected that she would get a title shot, because we've talked about this. Maybe it is an uneven playing field, and the other fighters can complain, but she's she made her name in MMA, you know what I mean? And so, even though she lost at the end, she made her name in MMA. And so now, coming forward in WWE, it might not be fair, but it's what they're going to do. They're going to get her into a title fight, or at least one of the bigger fights, right away.
Yeah, and plus at the end of the day, if if you're working with Ronda Rousey, it's gonna make money. So
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And like you've always said, it is a business, and that's what they're thinking about.
Yeah, but of course Ronda still has to prove herself if she can wrestle singles. I mean, she did a good
Right.
tag match at WrestleMania in her debut wrestling match, but
Right.
can she work singles? Can she put on a good match as a singles competitor?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, as we all know, the UFC will be heading to ESPN in January 2019. They will be leaving Fox Sports 1. They have signed with ESPN for $1.5 billion.
Oh man.
Yeah, $1.5 billion, man.
Mhm.
And of course, as we got the news of that, we also heard that the WWE is moving their show SmackDown from USA to Fox.
Oh really?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like I don't know, man. I might have to cancel my subscription to Fox Sports 1, and the door just ring. Keep talking to the camera.
All right.
Give them your thoughts.
Okay.
Shit.
Well. Yep. So I was just gonna say that. I feel like this actually is what's going to happen. I want to talk to Matt more about the move to ESPN. That seems like really telling and very fascinating. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Okay, and he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I did want to ask you though is that moving to ESPN is pretty surprising to those of us that are like kind of outside of the fight world. Does it? In your eyes, does that feel like it's making this more mainstream? And if so, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think absolutely does make it more mainstream at
Yeah,
first.
I mean ESPN, regular sports network. Not just like just like Fight Network.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna give more of my thoughts on the last word, and because I also gotta tell them about how many events they're gonna be doing and stuff like that.
I see.
And also my thoughts on WWE going to Fox for SmackDown.
Right.
And now we're gonna get into the world outside the ring so Gabe, take it away.
Thank you. We're the world outside the ring. I've talked a lot about my different feelings towards sports movies, about things like that. I'm going to go back. I'm going to circle back to a topic that I talked about once before. I think this is on the YouTube show. So now now that we're little bit older, a little bit wiser, I'm gonna ask again. What does the future of fighting look like? I'm a fan of sci-fi, science fiction. I actually haven't brought that up in a long time now, but I used to, on the YouTube show, I used to bring that up all the time. I've been kind of looking at how science fiction portrays fighting, because that's fascinating to me, because that's our best guess as to what fighting will turn into in the future. There's a episode of Star Trek Voyager where that I showed Matt once, where it's I think the sport's called Tsunkatsu, and basically the same as regular combat sports, but they have people from all different star clusters come and enjoy the games, and pretty much the only difference is that instead of like different races and countries competing, you have actually different species competing against each other, but still pretty much the same thing, except you find out later that all of it is actually holographically projected, and the fighters aren't actually there in the ring, and they're on a moving ship instead, and that makes it harder for the crew to try and rescue their crewmate 7 of 9, who's been captured and forced into this.
That was the episode with The Rock, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I was like, you probably remember that part. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, is one of the fighters, and he comes in and kicks 7 of 9's ass in the first, in her first fight. Anyway, it's kind of an interesting commentary, and it's like I would say even though it's in the future, the way that they do it is actually more brutal, because I think I asked 2 episodes ago, I asked, our fighters actually gladiators, and you said we've come a long way since then. You know what I mean? Like we're more evolved, and they sign up for this and they're paid for this, right?
Right.
In that version, in Star Trek, in that version of fighting, they're actually people think that they've signed up for it, but they're actually kidnapped and forced into it. So that's actually more barbaric than we are now, which is frankly disappointing. but of course the crew rescues 7 of 9 and tries to mitigate the more barbaric practice of it. So that's one idea about what fighting will look like in the future. And one of the more important lines is before all this happens, everyone's everyone's all excited about the games, and this and that, the fights, and they're taking bets and stuff, and then anyway, once they find out the 7 of 9 is there, they're trying to get her out. Neelix says, "Oh, I can't believe how people could cheer for each other to cheer for these people, to hurt each other for our own amusement. Isn't that barbaric?" And Chakotay says, "Well, if we didn't know one of our own was in there, we'd probably still be cheering too."
Well, yeah, because on the show, 7 of 9 is the warrior princess.
Basically, yeah.
So,
yeah, but anyway, I mean that just speaks to kind of like the human nature of it. You talked last time about how it's hard, must be very hard for the fighters' families and their wives, to go to a match, especially if they lose bad, So it's kind of like that. It is. I think we will still think of it as as entertainment unless we actually know one of the fighters personally. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, but of course, all that stuff that'll probably be in the year 3027, and by that time you and I will be way gone.
Right, exactly. I mean, this is all speculation, obviously, but
yeah.
But I mean, I think it it holds water, because we've talked about this before. Like I said, I've been honest before about how I am actually conflicted about what the sport of fighting and what it means, and but I think it is important, like kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's an important kind of like release valve. We get to watch other people, take on the violence that we, might want to do, if we weren't trying to be more civilized. But they're, trained professionals, able to do this, instead of us. And so it's like, is that, as a fan, I'm sure you want it to, continue into the future. So that's kind of like the question I'm posing here is will it, and what will it look like? Once we evolve even further, and we have technology to do all these things that we can't even do today. Like will we still have fighting, and what will it look like?
Well, fighting will. Well, there's been right now they're getting to the live streaming stuff, and like Max Muay Thai, which has been live streaming their fights on YouTube, and actually they were live streaming the 4-man tournament today. And
Oh, really?
yeah, had I known that, I would have been right on there. But
Right.
but also there's a lot of there are a lot more fight channels.
Right.
Not too many on cable necessarily. You know, like there isn't like an all combat sports channel. You know, yet. I mean, there's
Yes.
one. Well, except for like the Fight Network, but that's not. But that's like on a certain distributed, cable distributor.
Right.
But I think in the future we will have more channels that are dedicated to combat sports. And all the.
I mean, and this might be the start of it. You know, like again, the whole moving to ESPN. You know, that does seem like this the start of of something really like mainstream about it. So I mean, so you think there will be a channel that's just for fighting or for combat sports?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think there will be. It'll be more mainstream. And of course, they're gonna put in maybe some like movies. You know, maybe some like kung fu movies and the Rocky films and stuff like that.
Exactly. For the like less busy times. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think what will also happen is in the future, you know, all these combat sports that we have now, they're still going to be here. They're still going to be around. You know, everyone's going to be making money. Even kickboxing. I mean, hopefully by that time, kickboxing will have more of a footing in America.
Right.
You know, because it's still struggling in America, even though we have like the Bellators, the Glories, and and all these organizations. You know, I think hopefully in America, it'll get a good footing. It'll get a good following. We'll see some more kickboxing pay-per-views.
Right, exactly. And then what do you think about the idea that as we evolve, we might want it to that people might complain more about the violence or want it to be less violent or less likely to cause concussions and stuff like that. I mean,
well, yeah, because the concussions and stuff like that. But
what do you think will happen with that? I mean, do you think that will have an impact that will actually try and make it less violent? Or
well, I don't think it'll make it less violent, because I mean, you can try and do that with football,
Right.
I mean, but as far as like combat sports, I mean, it's just hard hitting, full contact, it's smash mouth.
Right. Right. One of the things in that episode I also forgot to mention is that there's sensors. The fighters wear sensors on their wrist and in the middle of their suit, and so there's red matches and blue matches, and so red matches to the death. That's like the most violent and some would say barbaric. But then a blue match is just kind of the way we have it now, where where as long as a fighter either surrenders or can't continue, or the judge says can't continue, then they don't, and that's when it ends. But the interesting thing is that it's not just that's not just the brute force. Woo.
Joking a little bit.
Yeah. Woo. That it's not just like the hits to the body, but it's like you can also gain points by hitting their wrists and stuff, by hitting the sensor instead, and like that's kind of a one step removed type of thing. I don't know. I'm sure we'll have the technology to do that. Do you think that will be accepted within the fight world?
I'm gonna have to humbly say, hell no.
I had a feeling you might.
Yeah, I mean, it'll never get to the point, but I can also see it getting to the point where like they do fights where one person must die. I don't think it'll go that far.
Yeah, hopefully not. But that's to me, someone who has a idealistic view of the future. Like every time there's fights to the death, in these shows, it is disappointing. But I guess the idea is that there are different species out there, and they've evolved in different ways, and so their traditions are still to fight to the death on their planet. But whatever.
Well, yeah, of course. But there's a reason why there are referees, and to keep it from going too far. Even though sometimes the referees screw up.
Yep, exactly.
But also there's bare knuckle fighting championships as well.
Yeah.
They just actually are starting a pay-per-view as of right now. This recording
Really?
tonight.
Really?
And I was gonna order it, but then I have to save up a lot of money to go to Maine. So that's out. But I don't know. Maybe I'll catch it on a replay or something.
Yeah, exactly. But that's also interesting. Is that we've done all this stuff to kind of remove it from the element of street fighting, because the street fighting, like anything goes, you know what I mean, and you really could, hospitalize someone, kill someone, in a true like street fight where only each other's friends are watching,
Yeah, well, the thing is, bare knuckle boxing is going back to its roots.
Right, exactly. That's what I was gonna say though, is that even though we've gotten to this place where we have referees and points and that type of stuff, some people want to go back, to the roots of fighting, and bare knuckle boxing, kind of provides that.
Yeah, exactly. It's I can see bare knuckle fighting championships getting as big as it wants to be. Will it take over the UFC and all the other MMA organizations? I'm gonna have to say no, but I think it'll be a strong number 2.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that's also interesting. So I mean, and I guess that's a whole other question when we consider like fighting in the future. Like do you? So you've pretty much said you think that bare knuckle boxing will will rise, and so you think even as we have more leagues, more channels, more technology, that we'll still see as much bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we will, and of course, it's gonna take. I'm gonna say from now, 2018 till maybe about 2026 to get it legalized in all the other states. Their first pay-per-view was in like Wyoming, so I think it's gonna take maybe 15 to 20 years to get it legalized in all other states.
Right.
But just as long as everybody keeps making money, man. Bellator keeps making money, UFC's making money, all the boxing promotions from Top Rank, Golden Boys, and even Golden Boys getting in the MMA thing, as I mentioned before, with Oscar De La Hoya. And just as long as everybody's making money and everyone's enjoying the fights and the pay-per-view ratings are up, then I can see the future of combat sports just being humongous.
Right. Well, that's fascinating. And that's the other thing you've talked about legalizing. Like, so I think I know what your answer is, but just to be clear, it is. You think it is better when these fights are legalized?
Well, yeah, exactly. Bare knuckle boxing is, it's like I said, it's going back to its roots of boxing. The old Duchess of Queensberry rules, and when it's legalized, it's better, and it can create.
I would say it's safer, too, but yeah.
Yeah, and also it's safer. They can actually fight in an arena and a ring, and there's rules and regulations instead of having to do it in on the farmlands
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and
plus
some
there's more.
warehouse or
Yep,
the
yep.
parking garage, like in those old '80s action movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus there's more audience for it. Once it is legalized and there's a ref, there's a stadium. Then there's more audience for it. Just kind of by that definition.
Well, yeah, absolutely, man. You said it. You said it. You said it best right there.
Yeah.
I'm a little tipsy, but yeah, you said it all, man. And the future of it is just only going to get brighter and brighter. And of course, our company, Bloody Knuckles TV, will be around for it. We are going to be the TMZ of combat sports.
That's right. Damn right.
Yeah, Harvey Levin and Charles. I think it's Robinson. That's his name. The dude with the dreadlocks.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. By the way, turns out I was watching TMZ. Siobhan Sullivan, the girl that was on The Amazing Race. Yeah, she got married. She got married a while ago, but she's now pregnant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's my favorite. Yeah, I've always had a crush on her.
All right.
Yep.
Nice little side note there.
Yep. And now we're going to get into the last word.
Yep.
Now, for the last word, we're talking about the UFC's deal with ESPN. Dana White announced that for the 2018 deal, they said it's like it's a 5-year deal, and he says that they plan on putting on more events, more fights, like 49 fights, which means that we'll have 20 on ESPN. There will be some pay-per-views, and there will be some fights on the ESPN Plus app.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's been some concerns about is the UFC now putting on too many fights?
Right.
And plus I did hear that the ratings for the fight nights on Fox Sports 1 and Fox, they haven't really been all that good, ratings-wise. Ratings are important, but when you're a diehard fight fan like me, you kind of really don't give a damn about ratings. I mean,
Right.
you give a damn, but you give a damn to an extent, I mean, and to be honest with you, I don't watch all the fight cards,
Right.
I don't watch all the free fights unless it's a good card. I'll look at a card, and if there's like maybe 1, 3, or 4 good fighters I want to see, then yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting though is about ratings is that I think it brings up the question of like TV ratings in general. There's a lot of kind of controversy about that nowadays. Like you've got a huge audience online. You know what I mean, and you can see things after the fact, and streaming and all of that. So it's like. The Nielsen ratings are actually based on on certain people that they have said and it's several years out of date, but people that they have said are a good enough variety that represent that represent the viewing populace and only those people actually have, the Nielsen families actually have, watching TV, physical, broadcast TV, are actually the only ones that that affect the TV ratings. So there's a lot of people that say, the TV ratings themselves might be, kind of outdated, start to be outdated now, and you can't really tell how much audience you have until 2 days later.
Yeah, especially now with the invention of DVRs.
Oh yeah, that too. I mean that too. I don't even actually know if DVR counts, even though I think it should, because you are able to, I know that these companies are able to tell when you DVR something, and when you watch it, so like that should count, but we don't even know if that does count in the television ratings. So it's like, is our TV ratings themselves kind of outdated, and should they focus more on DVR, on web streaming, because you don't actually know how big your audience is if you focus just on live TV ratings.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, with DVR, the thing with DVRs is that people, like if they can't watch their favorite shows, they can just DVR and be like, okay, we'll watch it whenever
to it later.
Yeah, and I had DVR for a while.
And we used to do that on VHS. That's the other thing, is that it's people think that it's brand spanking new. It's not that new. I remember when you would record it on VHS and come
Same
back
here.
to it later. Yep, we grew up in that generation with the VCRs.
We're two old guys.
It feels that way sometimes. But yeah, anyway, so that in and of itself isn't new. It's just that the DVR is more advanced, and you can do multiple things at multiple times and blah blah blah. But with DVRs, it's actually more traceable. Again, I would say that the companies can find out exactly when you DVR it, and probably when you do finally watch it. So that should count towards the ratings,
Yeah, I think it does, because I really think it should, because like, for example, remember the show on A&E, Breakout Kings?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a modern day version of the Mod Squad, where the criminals got to work with the FBI, and then and for every criminal they bought, they get some time off their sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
that show lasted 2 seasons. I thought it was okay. It wasn't good, but it wasn't the best.
Right.
It wasn't the worst. Wasn't the best. Wasn't the worst. And it was the most DVR'd show. It got a whole lot of DVR ratings and stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah.
But after its second season, it got canceled.
Right. And so that's the problem. We don't know in those boardrooms if they were taking into account all the DVRing, or if they were just looking at the live ratings, which again are not as relevant anymore. Of course it'd be great if you still have the most live ratings, and certain events recently have gotten substantial live ratings, like I think the Emmys, like last year's Emmys, was like one of the bigger rated shows and stuff, and that's even better when it is watching it live, but. You should take into account all the DVRing, because that's frankly what's going to keep broadcast television alive.
Well, yeah, and the other thing, and this also ties into the WWE's deal with Fox. I mean, because Fox bringing SmackDown over in 2019. They're expecting WWE SmackDown to bring in huge ratings,
right?
As they usually do, but the thing is, every wrestling columnist, wrestling blogger, and every even some of the old school wrestlers who don't work for the WWE anymore, they're like semi-retired or on the independent circuit. They've all said that wrestling will never, as far as TV ratings wise, it'll never go back to the high ratings. Like when we came up in the Attitude Era, 97 till middle school, I was in 8th grade, so like 2001.
You're dating yourself, but okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm dating both of us.
Right.
Ratings were sky highs. They were in the 7s, the 8s, and the 9s.
Right.
But of course, that was during the Monday Night Wars. You had WCW Nitro and WWE Raw's War, and then SmackDown, and then there was WCW Thunder.
Right.
But then when WCW went away, there was no competition. I mean, TNA later on came about, but not as good ratings wise. And that's why WWE doesn't get in the 8s and the 9s anymore. There's no competition. I mean, on a good day, they might get a 5 or a 6. And plus, you got to remember back then there weren't as many reality shows out there as well. There was just like Cops, The Real World, and that was just it.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that was the very beginning of reality TV, and we did not think it was going to be that big a genre.
Yeah, and there's a lot, and plus they have a lot of competition. It's like there's cooking shows, and there's on top of the reality shows, there's also cooking shows. Yeah. There's a lot of dramas on. There are a lot better dramas now on television.
A lot more dramas. Yeah, indeed. And the other thing is that the thing that strikes me is that there's a lot more channels. Like I maybe I'm just like not with it, but like I really did not remember this many channels as I was coming up.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it's like people have done jokes about it, and they're right. That like it used to be like what 60 channels, and now it's like 400, 500, 600. Like people are sometimes like, oh yeah, I bought the special package with like 1,500 channels. When are you gonna watch every single one? You're not going to. You know what I mean? Like that. At some point, it's like, well, it's like, can you even flip to all of them? Like you can't. It gets kind of
some
ridiculous.
of those channels they they cater to a special kind of audience.
Right.
Like the shopping network, that's more for women.
Yeah.
The outdoor channel, that's more for people who like to do the hunting and fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's.
But yeah, I mean that's just it. There's a lot more. Genres, a lot more niches. I think it's a word. Everyone has their own niche now. There's like you said, cooking and outdoor and there's just a lot more niches than you would have ever thought. Subsets of reality shows are there's reality shows, I would say, about houses. There was a joke on TV just recently about how many real estate shows do you freaking need? You know what I mean? Like there literally is. There is Flip or Flop. There's the Property Brothers, and like all these.
Yeah, Vanilla Ice has one. And
yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, there's just hundreds of channels. It's like you can't even. I don't know how anyone could keep up with all of them.
Yeah, of course. There's the Miley Cyrus's mother and sister have a house thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, not Noah Cyrus, by the way. The other sister, who's also hot, by the way.
But.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like it's literally anything you can think of. I was just thinking. One of my friends loved the show My Strange Addiction.
Yeah, my mom used to watch that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like there's the one episode I saw, there was a woman who eats dryer sheets. And like she can't stop doing that, and obviously terrible for her health, and her sisters, who's the one who called the show to help her out or whatever it was. So I mean, hopefully though with shows like that they get the help that they need. But in terms of watching, I don't know. It seems kind of ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
There's more than one show about cupcakes. Cupcake Wars. There's another competing show about competing making cupcakes. Like, who would have thought?
Yeah, and there's and also the other thing is, during WWE's period, during their highest point, their biggest competition other than WCW was Monday Night Football during football season.
Right.
And of course now they only broadcast on ABC when it's like for the local teams, but for the most part it's on ESPN. But that was their biggest competition. And then after football season, the ratings would go up, but lately now, for the past maybe 5-6 years or so, it's like the ratings don't go up as they usually do after football season. So
right.
It's like because they still have the other competition out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, And like we've been saying, frankly, they will always have a ton of competition now.
Yeah, especially with when Bellator airs their fights on Friday nights. They usually they usually do their fights on Friday nights. So it's like yeah, man. I can't see WWE lasting that. Well, for SmackDown, I can't see it lasting long on Fox. I think maybe after 1 or 2 seasons, they're gonna get shown the door.
Fascinating. But so then just like everything else, they'll have to evolve, I guess.
Well, exactly. Because wrestling will always be around, but it's like as ratings wise, it's just ratings wise, it's just not like it was back in our day. And and especially now with ESPN signing UFC,
Right.
ESPN is now going to be like not only the number one. Well, it's already the number one sports channel.
Right.
But I would say it's going to be number one as far as fights go now, because Fox Sports 1 is losing. It's going to be losing the UFC, and all they're going to have is Premier Boxing Champions.
Right.
And ESPN, they got Top Rank Boxing. Top Rank, of course, Bob Arum. We can see Manny Pacquiao and all the other fighters underneath that banner.
Right.
They have Glory Kickboxing, even though they still air it not in prime time, and stuff. And sometimes they'll even air it on ESPN2 and ESPN3. And now they have the UFC now. So it's like now ESPN is going to be the number one network for fights.
Right, exactly. Yep, and how things change. Because we always, or at least I always thought that that ESPN would always be for for the regular team sports, and those would be a lot more accepted and higher ratings than the fight sports. But
Well, I think the thing is, I think the ratings for you. We don't know how it's going to play out, but, in January it's still, pro basketball, college basketball season, and there's pro football.
Right.
So I think once those once those seasons be done away with, which is like in the summertime, spring, summertime, but of course there's still baseball, then we can see the shift in the ratings go up way higher for UFC. But it also got to depend at the end of the day on the cards, because, like I said, I don't watch every free fight card. Just only the ones that, if there's fighters on there that I love to fight, that I love to see fight, if there's like 2 or 3 good fights, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll stick around and watch that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to be very selective.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, so hopefully 2019 ratings will be high for the UFC when they go to ESPN. Might have to get rid of my Fox Sports 1 because right now the only thing on Fox Sports 1 they'll have is just Big East college basketball, which I love.
Right.
And Premier Boxing Champions, and so yeah, I'm gonna have to switch over again.
Right.
Gonna have to get rid of that channel on my Sling.
Yep, exactly. Well, c'est la vie, right?
Yeah.
C'est la vie.
Yeah, of course. And we're gonna end it right there.
Yeah.
Make sure you tune in tomorrow night for the Best of Muay Thai and Kickboxing Volume 4.
Right.
Which
That's
airs
on Facebook.
Yeah, that's on our Facebook page. And also, when we come back and tape our show, we're also going to be taping Ringside with Matt and Gabe, and that'll be a doubleheader where we'll be showing the Davey Moore versus Roberto Duran fight, as well as the Mike Tyson versus Michael Spinks fight. Going to be celebrating the 30-year anniversary of that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk about that fight for the last word.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. So good way to ring in the anniversary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
So from Beantown to your town, this is Beantown Beatdown. Matthew Bars.
Gabe Shamus.
Vias con Dios.